And Danny's calling me right now. Hold on. Danny.
Yeah, what's up, man?
I'm doing a video right now thanking you publicly for about the end of the year, dude.
You're doing a video for me?
Yeah.
What?
I'm doing it right now. Right now, when you called me, I'm recording an episode thanking you for what you've done for the show, bro.
Oh, dang. You don't have to do that, dude. That's awesome.
Hey, man, so I want to do sometimes I think I push too hard, and I think that I don't want you to go away, dude, so I'm trying to soften the blow, dude, for next year.
You're like, let me butter you up,
dude. I'm rubbing you down, bro. What's up, riders? Kevin Wilson with the BMX Podcast. Thank you very much for stopping back by, and thank you very much for watching. As you can see, I'm solo today. Today's the Saturday before Christmas. I think, Christmas is 4 or 5 days from now. And Danny and I were unable to hook up with an episode this week. So I thought I'd take 5 minutes and to do like a year-end wrap-up type of thing about the podcast and the channel and the show and the channel and that type of thing. And thank everybody for joining me on this journey that we call the BMXPERTS Podcast. It was probably mid 2024 where I came across Danny Pena's channel on YouTube. I was watching some of my competitors, other podcasts, other YouTube channels on YouTube, and I came across Danny's channel, and I was watching some of his stuff, and I was like thinking, man, this guy really loves BMX. And I subscribed to his channel and watched some of what he was reviewing magazines and that type of thing, and he was really doing you could tell this guy really loved BMX. When I was watching this stuff. And I noticed that Danny is probably sitting there. I think he had like 443 subscribers at the time when I first discovered his channel. And at that time, I think I had 445 or 444. It was like one or two subscribers difference on the counts on our YouTube channels. And I was thinking to myself, man, maybe this guy wants to come on the show. Now, because at the time, even though I had interviewed a couple pretty big guests, pretty big names, I was always struggling, and it was always a real stress to get people to come on the show and talk to me, because obviously I'm not famous, and I never was on a factory team or nothing like that. So I was like, maybe I can reach out to Danny and see if he wants to come on the show and talk to BMX with me. So I had sent him I think I friended him on Facebook, and I sent him a Facebook a direct message saying, hey, dude, would you like to come on my show? Now, he goes, sure, I'll come on your show. And recently, or after the fact, he's told the story on the podcast about he was thinking to himself, why the hell does this guy want me on his show? I wasn't on a factory team. And I was thinking the same thing, like he doesn't want to come on my show. I wasn't on a factory team. So we were kind of thinking the same thing. But Danny came on the show. And even though he came on the show, we talked, we had fun. After that happened, we both looked at that show now and said, dude, we don't like that episode. We think it's horrible. We do not encourage people to watch it, even though it's still active on the BMXPERTS YouTube channel. But we did not connect, or we did not have anything. There was no special chemistry or nothing like that when he came on the first time. I was wearing some weird pants, and we weren't very comfortable with each other. We weren't. We didn't have the banter back and forth like we do now. But he came on the show. I thanked him very much. I posted the video, and going forward, a couple weeks later, maybe a month or something like that, a little bit of time later on, I was still having trouble getting people to come on the show, finding guests. And I reached out to Danny because I always had this thing about going through year by year by year by year and talking about BMX in certain years, capsulizing one certain time and talking about BMX for that certain time. And I said, dude, look, can you come on and let's talk about 1980? I think the first year we did was 1985. And because it was 83 because that's the year I started racing. And I said, would you like to come on and talk about just BMX in 1983? And he said, sure, okay, I'll do that. Now, when he came on, I wasn't expecting him to bring a magazine or anything like that. I just thought he was going to come on, we're going to freestyle it, talk about 1983, and that would be the end of it. But to my surprise, Danny showed up with a magazine on the show. And we started talking about, and he started going through page by page. And if you watch the video, you kind of see my surprise, like, wow, this guy brought on a magazine. We're going through page by page talking about the magazine. And we fell into a routine of him asking what I thought and me giving sometimes well thought out answers or sometimes not well thought out answers. I was kind of like the color guy. He was more like the straight guy, a straight-laced business guy, and I was more like the joker and that type of thing. So we went through the magazine page by page, the entire magazine, and it was a really great experience. I was like, wow, man, that was really cool. Now, up until that point, I always wanted to have a partner. I could never find anybody that would want to do the podcast with me, probably for good reason, because it probably wasn't very good. But I always wanted a partner. The first time I talked to Mike Miranda, I told him I was jealous of him because he got to talk to his friends and talk about BMX, and I was all about myself sometimes, and it was kind of frustrating for me. But after Danny came on the first time or the second time talking about the magazine, that's when I kind of realized, there's something special here with this guy. I think that we could both really grow and we could have a good time doing this. So, but you can't really ask someone to come back on the show after a couple days. Like, dude, can you come back on? Can you come back on? Because I made that mistake before, and I really creep people out, ask them back on the show too fast. But I took probably maybe a month or two, and I said, hey, would you like to come back on and do another magazine review? And I think we did 1985 was the second one, and that's when we really clicked. And that's when I think, you know what? Yeah, I want this guy on the show more often. And I asked him he probably came on another 2 or 3 times in subsequent weeks up until the end of 80, up until the end of 2024. And at the end of 2024, I wanted to do trivia. I had this idea, I wanted to do trivia, and no one wanted to do trivia with me, right? Nobody. I put messages out on Facebook, who wants to play trivia. I got no response. Now, not that I think that I'm that great of a trivia guy. I just thought it'd be fun to do trivia, right? Because all I do on my off time, I read people's Wikipedia pages. So I thought I was okay. So, but my intention was never to be the player on the BMX trivia. I wanted to be the host, and I wanted 2 other guys to play or 3 other guys to play. And I wanted to be the host and be like the guy that asks questions. Because let's be honest, I think Danny asks the questions in a very great way, very, very clean, very, very professional. But I think his questions are a little too easy on everything. But that's beside the point. I want to do trivia. So finally, I convinced Jason Chang and Joe Tippett to come on and do trivia. And to be honest with you, it really wasn't very good. Maybe I asked the questions were too hard, but I did my first trivia episode in late 2024. And rolling up 2024, I wanted to do a Christmas episode, and I was talking to Mike Miranda, and Mike Miranda said he'd come back on and kind of do one more episode for the year. And I was like, dude, Mike, would you play me in trivia? Which I was really hesitant to ask him because really nobody wanted to play trivia. I asked some pretty big names. I won't say who it was, but I asked some pretty big names to play me trivia, and they never even responded. And Mike's like, sure, I'll play you trivia, man. So I said, I was like, man, we need to find someone to ask the questions. And I thought back to Danny, and I was like, dude, let's get Danny on. Let's see if Danny will ask the questions, and I'll play you in trivia. So he goes, sure. So I reached out to Danny, and Danny was like, sure, I can ask you some questions. So Danny took a couple hours. compiled some questions. It was slightly different than what we do now, but essentially that's the day that the BMXPERTS trivia portion was on the show was born. Is when we did the Christmas episode with Mike Miranda, where Danny asked trivia questions, and that's kind of where everything blew up from there. After that happened, I interacted with Danny a little bit here and there until finally I said, I asked Danny, I said, dude, would you ever consider joining the channel and being my partner? And excuse me, it wasn't just lip service. I was serious. I really wanted him to be my partner on the podcast. And Danny was, rightly so, he was a little reticent about joining. He's like, well, I got my own thing going on, man. And we were very close. And we were probably at 700. I was probably at 700 subscribers. He was probably at like 620 or something like that. I had grown a little bit farther than he has, but we were still pretty close at the time. And in early 2025, and I go, dude, that's cool, dude. Don't worry about it. Just keep your thing. We'll actually promote your thing on my thing, on our thing. And he's like, well, okay, let's take it slow, right? So we did a couple episodes, and maybe the first episode off the top of my head. What was the first episode off the top of my head? And that's when we did the first episode. I think the first episode that Danny and I did together as a interviewing team was the Ryan Krupe episode, I believe so, right around that time. And it turned out pretty good. And so we started doing more and more. I started asking Danny the opinion on things, and I brought him in. And we ended up being equal in regards to making decisions and that type of thing, although he might disagree with that. I don't know. But that's how the whole thing started. And it's kind of funny at the end of every episode, after I go until next week, the track is closed. We'll hit the end recording button, and I'll say, dude, that was incredible. Thank you very much. I couldn't do this without you. And that's really what I think. I said, I don't want to do this without Danny. And I told him I've interviewed a couple people without him, and it's not as good, and the show suffers. So I'd rather do it with Danny by far. So that's why I'm not interviewing anybody today. But that's where we're at, and I haven't had a chance to get with Danny today. I think he's busy, but since he's not on the show, I thought I'd embarrass him. I thought I'd thank him publicly for his time. Neither one of us get paid, but he really doesn't get right, because I can tell him, I go, half of this stuff, if I ever make any money on this channel, you got half of it. So it's kind of like a funny joke between us. Like, if I don't get, at least I get the subscribers, he doesn't get the subscribers. Although people do go over and subscribe to his channel and so forth. But if you like to subscribe to Danny's channel, it's Danny Pena BMX Racing on YouTube. I will link to his channel in the comments to this, or the description of this video. But I just want to say thanks, Danny. And wrapping up everything up, wrapping up the remainder of the year, if we don't have another episode out by Christmas or by New Year's. Thank you from Danny and myself for everybody that's come on the show and supported us and commented and everything. Danny's daughter actually put it best, where she told the story. Danny told the story about to Danny and said, because Danny, I think Danny was frustrated that we only had 1,000 subscribers or whatever, and a couple 900 subscribers, and his daughter told him, dude, Dad, imagine that you were at a auditorium and 1,000 people came to hear you speak, how that would make you feel. And Danny told me that story. I was like, wow, that is kind of cool. That 2 years ago, I was just a guy, a former racer that was good when he was 18, and let life get ahead of him. And I came back to BMX. I've been in BMX periodically throughout my life, but I just took a shot, and I embarrassed myself a lot. And I'm sure Danny might agree with this, that he might have embarrassed himself too over the past couple months. But we made some mistakes, made some comments, but nothing's been in malice. There's been no malice intended on the show. We try to keep it positive. But we thank you, everybody. We thank all of the people that have come on the show, all of our guests, everybody that's commented, subscribed, everything like that. We wouldn't be able to do this without you. And Danny's calling me right now. Hold on. Danny.
Yo, what's up, man?
I'm doing a video right now thanking you publicly for about the end of the year, dude.
You're doing a video for me?
Yeah.
What?
I'm doing it right now. Right now, when you called me, I'm recording an episode thanking you for what you've done for the show, bro.
Oh, dang. You don't have to do that, dude. That's awesome.
Hey, man, so I wanted to, sometimes I think I push too hard, and I think that I don't want you to go away, dude, so I'm trying to soften the blow, dude, for next year.
You're like, let me butter you up, dude, 'cause we got one
Dude, I'm rubbing you down, bro.
That's awesome, dude.
I'll circle back with you in a little bit, man. Thank you. All right.
Later, dude.
Peace. There you go, Danny Pena, my podcast partner. And with that, I will end the show and say thank you very much. And he kind of said our guest's name that's coming on. Craig Reynolds is going to be joining us probably the next day or so. So look for that. That will probably drop on Christmas. If not, if we can get another Christmas episode with Mike Miranda, we will do that for Christmas Day. But from Danny and myself, thank you very much for joining us on this trip. It's been fun. And Danny and I live vicariously through our channels where we get to talk and interact and ask questions to our BMX heroes and our BMX colleagues and our friends and family. Thank you very much. Sincerely, hope everybody has a great Christmas. And until next year, the track is closed. Thank you very much.